will sing Jairadhamana and then we'll read something. Jairadhamadava Kunjabi Hari Jairadhamadava Kunjabi Hari Kapi Jana Balaba Kirivardhanari Kapi Jana Balaba Kirivardhanari Yasadanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yasadanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yamunatira Vanachari Yamunatira Vanachari. So no one else is here. Okay.
So far.
All right. So we're going to read part of the Chaitanya Charitamrita. This is chapter 1 of the Adi-lila. Everyone can find that? Adi-lila 1? Okay.
I'll share the database link, or I can screen share again if that would be convenient for everyone.
Okay. Maybe this chapter is entitled The Spiritual Masters. Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. So somebody can read this. Aniruddha, do you want to read the summary, the chapter summary?
Sure, Prabhu, I can read it.
Okay.
All right. Chapter 1, The Spiritual Masters. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is none other than the combined form of Sri Radha and Krishna. He is the life of those devotees who strictly follow in the footsteps of Srila Rupa Goswami. Srila Rupa Goswami and Srila Sanatan Goswami are the two principal followers of Srila Swarupa Damodar Goswami, who acted as the most confidential servitor of Lord Sri Krishna Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, known as Vishvambhara in his early life. A direct disciple of Srila Rupa Goswami was Srila Raghunath Das Goswami. The author of Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, stands as the direct disciple of Srila Rupa Goswami and Srila Raghunath Das Goswami. The direct disciple of Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami was Srila Narottam Das Thakur, who accepted Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti as his servitor. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur accepted Srila Jagannath Das Babaji, the spiritual master of Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, who in turn accepted Srila Gaurakishore Das Babaji, the spiritual master of Om Vishnupad Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj, the divine master of our humble self. Since we belong to this chain of disciplic succession from Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, this edition of Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita will contain nothing newly manufactured by our tiny brains, but only remnants of food originally eaten by the Lord himself. Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu does not belong to the mundane plane of the three qualitative modes. He belongs to the transcendental plane, beyond the reach of the imperfect sense perception of a living being. Even the most erudite mundane scholar cannot approach the transcendental plane unless he submits himself to transcendental sound with a receptive mood. For in that mood only can one realize the message of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. What will be described herein, therefore, has nothing to do with the experimental thoughts created by the speculative habits of inert minds. The subject matter of this book is not a mental concoction, but a factual spiritual experience that one can realize only by accepting the line of disciplic succession described above. Any deviation from that line will bewilder the reader's understanding of the mystery of Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, which is a transcendental literature meant for the postgraduate study of one who has realized all the Vedic literatures, such as the Upanishads and Vedanta Sutra, and their natural commentaries, such as Srimad Bhagavatam and the Bhagavad Gita.
Okay, let Naveen read. Naveen. This edition
of Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita. This edition of Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita is presented for the study of sincere scholars who are really seeking the absolute truth. It is not the arrogant scholarship of a mental speculator, but a sincere effort to serve the order of a superior authority whose service is the life and soul of this humble effort. It does not deviate even slightly from the revealed scriptures, and therefore anyone who follows in the disciplic line will be able to realize the essence of this book simply by the method of oral reception. The first chapter of Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita begins with 14 Sanskrit verses that describe the absolute truth. Then the next 3 Sanskrit verses describe the principal deities of Vrindavan, namely Sri Radha Madana Mohana, Sri Radha Govinda Dev, and Sri Radha Gopinatha Ji. The first of the 14 verses is a symbolic representation of the supreme truth, and the entire first chapter is in actuality devoted to the single verse, which describes Lord Chaitanya and his 6 different transcendental expansions. The first manifestation described is the Spirit Master, who appears in 2 plenary parts, called the Initiating Spiritual Master.
What happened?
I think her connection is not so good.
Okay. The initiating spiritual master, instructing spiritual master, they're identical because both of them are phenomenal manifestations of the supreme truth. Are you back yet? Next, describe other devotees who are divided into 2 classes. Okay, read on.
Namely, the apprentice. Next are the incarnation avatars of the Lord, who are explained to be non-different from the Lord. These incarnations are considered in 3 divisions: incarnations of the potency of the Lord, incarnations of his qualities, and incarnations of his authority. In this connection, Lord Sri Krishna's direct manifestations and his manifestations for transcendental pastimes are discussed. Next considered are the potencies of the Lord, of which 3 principal manifestations are described: the consorts in the kingdom of God, Vaikuntha, the queens of Dwarkadam, and the highest of all, the damsels of Rajadam. Finally, there is the Supreme Lord himself, who is the fountainhead of all these manifestations. Lord Sri Krishna and his plenary expansions are all in the category of the Lord himself, the energetic and absolute truth, whereas his devotees, his eternal associates, are his energies. The energy and the energetic are fundamentally one, but since their functions are differently exhibited, they are simultaneously different also. Thus, the absolute truth is manifested in diversity in one unit. This philosophical truth, which is pursuant to the Vedanta Sutra, is called Achintya Vabheda Tattva, or the conception of simultaneous oneness and difference. In the later portion of this chapter, the transcendental position of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and that of Srila Nityananda Prabhu are described with reference to the above theistic facts.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, we're gonna read some of the verses now, and then we're gonna stop at the one which I want to talk about. Surprised not more people are here, because
Yeah, several have not joined that said they would be available.
they know it was at 3:00.
Yes, I sent a reminder as well.
Did they all agree? The Lauren said they were coming, or something?
Yeah, several did. Yeah.
Okay. Anyway,
Shivani is sick. She sent a text.
oh,
She's sick. Her son was also sick, so
okay.
that's why she didn't.
Okay, you can read, Karunamrita. Read 10 verses. Text 1.
Yes. Text 1. I offer my respectful obeisances unto the spiritual master, the devotee of the Lord's incarnations, his plenary apportions, his energies, and the primal Lord himself, Sri Krishna Chaitanya. I offer my respectful obeisances unto Sri Krishna Chaitanya and Lord Nityananda, who are like the sun and moon. They have arisen simultaneously on the horizon of Gauda to dissipate the darkness of ignorance and thus wonderfully bestow benediction upon all. What the Upanishads describe as the impersonal Brahman is but the effulgence of his body, and the Lord known as the Supersoul is but his localized plenary portion. Lord Chaitanya is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna himself, full with six opulences. He is the absolute truth, and no other truth is greater than or equal to him. May the Supreme Lord, who is known as the son of Srimati Sachi Devi, be transcendently situated in the innermost chambers of your heart, resplendent with the radiance of molten gold. He has appeared in the age of Kali by his causeless mercy to bestow what no incarnation has ever offered before, the most sublime and radiant mellow of devotional service, the mellow of conjugal love. The loving affairs of Sri Radha and Krishna are transcendental manifestations of the Lord's internal pleasure-giving potency. Although Radha and Krishna are one in their identity, previously they separated themselves. Now these two transcendental identities have again united in the form of Sri Krishna Chaitanya. I bow down to him, who has manifested himself with the sentiment and complexion of Srimati Radharani, although he is Krishna himself. Desiring to understand the glory of Radharani's love, the wonderful qualities in him that she alone relishes through her love, and the happiness she feels when she realizes the sweetness of his love, the Supreme Lord Hari, richly endowed with her emotions, appeared from the womb of Srimati Sachi Devi as the moon appeared from the ocean. May Sri Nityananda Ram be the object of my constant remembrance. Sankarshan, Sheshnag, and the Vishnus who lie on the current ocean, Garbha ocean, and ocean of milk are his plenary portion and the portion of his plenary portions. I surrender unto the lotus feet of Sri Nityananda Ram, who is known as Sankarshan in the midst of the Chatur Juha, consisting of Vasudev, Sankarshan, Pradyum, and Aniruddha. He possesses full opulences and resides in the Vaikuntha Lok, far beyond the material creation. I offer my full obeisances unto the feet of Sri Nityananda Ram, who partial representation called Karano Dakshai Vishnu, lying on the Karana ocean, is the original Purusha, the master of the illusionary energy, and the shelter of all the universes. I offer my full obeisances unto the feet of Sri Nityananda Ram, a partial part of whom is Garbhodakshaya Vishnu. From the navel of Garbhodakshaya Vishnu sprouts the lotus that is the birthplace of Brahma, the engineer of the universe. The stem of that lotus is the resting place of the multitude of planets.
Okay, so we don't need to read that.
Okay. I offer my respectful obeisances unto the feet of Sri Nityananda Ram, whose secondary part is the Vishnu lying in the ocean of milk. That Kshirodakshaya Vishnu is the supersoul of all living entities and the maintainer of all the universes. Sheshanag is his further subpart. Lord Advaita Acharya is the incarnation of Mahavishnu, whose main function is to create the cosmic world through the actions of Maya. Because he is non-different from Hari, the Supreme Lord, he is called Advaita, and because he propagates the cult of devotion, he is called Acharya. He is the Lord and the incarnation of the Lord's devotee. Therefore, I take shelter of him. I offer my obeisances unto the Supreme Lord Krishna, who is non-different from his feature as a devotee, devotional incarnation, devotional manifestation, pure devotee, and devotional energy. Glory to the all-merciful Radha and Madan Mohan. I am lame and ill-advised, yet they are my directors, and their lotus feet are everything to me. In a temple of jewels in Vrindavan, underneath a desire tree, Sri Sri Radha Govinda, served by their most confidential associates, sit upon an effulgent throne. I offer my humble obeisances unto them. Sri Srila Gopinath, who originated the transcendental mellow of the Rasa dance, stands on the shore in Vamsivat and attracts the attention of the cowherd damsels with the sound of a celebrated flute. May they all confer upon us their benediction. Glory to Sri Chaitanya and Nityananda, glory to Advaita Chandra, and glory to all the devotees of Sri Gora, Lord Chaitanya. These three deities of Vrindavan, Madan Mohan, Govinda, and Gopinath, have absorbed the heart and soul of the Gaudiya Vaishnavas, followers of Lord Chaitanya. I worship their lotus feet, for they are the lords of my heart. In the beginning of this narration, simply by remembering the spiritual master, the devotees of the Lord, and the personality of Godhead, I have invoked their benedictions.
Such remembrance destroys all difficulties and very easily enables one to fulfill his own desires. The invocation involves three processes: defining the objective, offering benedictions, and offering obeisances. The first two verses offer respectful obeisances, generally and specifically to the Lord, who is the object of worship. In the third verse, I indicate the absolute truth, who is the ultimate substance. With such a description, one can visualize the absolute truth. In the fourth verse, I invoke the benediction of the Lord upon all the world, praying to Lord Chaitanya for his mercy upon all. In that verse, I have also explained the external reason for Lord Chaitanya's incarnation. But in the fifth and sixth verses, I've explained the prime reason for his advent. In these 6 verses, I've described the truth about Lord Chaitanya, whereas in the next 5, I've described the glory of Lord Nityananda. So that's a big day, the appearance of Lord Nityananda. That's coming up on the 21st. He's the original spiritual master, so we worship him with full pomp and ceremony. Text 28, the next 2 verses describe the truth of Advaita Prabhu, and the following verse describes the Panchatattva, the Lord, his plenary portion, his incarnation, his energies, and his devotees. These 14 verses, therefore, offer auspicious invocations and describe the absolute truth. I offer my obeisances unto all my Vaishnava readers as I begin to explain the intricacies of all these verses. I request all my Vaishnava readers to read and hear with rapt attention this narration of Sri Chaitanya, Krishna Chaitanya, as inculcated in the revealed scriptures. The Lord enjoys by manifesting himself as the spiritual masters, the devotees, the diverse energies, the incarnations, and the plenary portions. They are all 6 in one. I therefore worship the lotus feet of these 6 diversities of the one truth by invoking their benedictions. I offer my respectful obeisance unto the spiritual masters, the devotees of the Lord's incarnations, his plenary portions, energies, and the primeval Lord himself, Sri Krishna Chaitanya. I first offer my respectful obeisance at the lotus feet of my initiating spiritual master and all my instructing spiritual masters. So we're going to discuss this verse. We're going to read the purport. I think this is the one I was thinking of. Okay, so translation to the verse. I first offer my respectful obeisance unto the lotus feet of my initiating spiritual master and all my instructing spiritual masters. Purport. Srila Jiva Goswami's thesis, Bhakti Sandarbha Turta, stated that and that one has to execute such service in the association of other devotees. By associating with devotees of Lord Krishna, one develops a sense of Krishna consciousness and thus becomes inclined towards the loving service of the Lord. This is the process of approaching the Supreme Lord by gradual appreciation and devotional service. If one desires unalloyed devotional service, one must associate with devotees of Sri Krishna, for by such association only can a conditioned soul achieve a taste for transcendental love and thus revive his eternal relationship. And in terms of the specific transcendental mellow, rasa, that one has eternally in him. If one develops love for Krishna by Krishna conscious activities, one can know the supreme absolute truth. But he who tries to understand God simply by logical arguments will not succeed, nor will he get a taste for unalloyed devotion. The secret is that one must submissively listen to those who know perfectly the science of God, and one must begin the mode of service regulated by the preceptor. A devotee already attracted by the name, form, qualities, etc. of the Supreme Lord may be directed to a specific manner of devotional service. He need not waste time in approaching the Lord through logic. The expert spiritual master knows well how to engage his disciples' energy in the transcendental loving service of the Lord, and thus he engages the devotee in a specific devotional service according to his special tendency. The devotee must have only one initiating spiritual master, because in the scriptures, acceptance of more than one is always forbidden. There is no limit, however, to the number of instructing spiritual masters one may accept. Generally, a spiritual master who constantly instructs a disciple in spiritual science becomes his initiating spiritual master later on. Okay, you know where we are? Sid, can you read on? If you know where we are, yeah, there you go.
Yes, in the paragraph that starts with,
Yeah, one should always.
if one develops love for Krishna.
No, one should always remember.
Is that where we're starting?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm ready. One should always remember that excuse me?
Yeah, keep going.
Okay, one should always remember that a person who is reluctant to accept a spiritual master and be initiated is sure to be baffled in his endeavor to go back to Godhead. One who's not properly initiated may present himself as a great devotee, but in fact, he is sure to encounter many stumbling blocks on his path to progress towards spiritual realization, with the result that he must continue his term of material existence without relief. Such a helpless person is compared to a ship without a rudder, for such a ship can never reach its destination. It is imperative, therefore, that one accept a spiritual master if he at all desires to gain the favor of the Lord. The service of the spiritual master is essential. If there is no chance to serve the spiritual master directly, a devotee may serve him by remembering his instructions. There is no difference between the spiritual master's instructions and the spiritual master himself. In his absence, therefore, his words of direction should be the pride of the disciple. If one thinks that he is above counseling anyone else, consulting anyone else, including a spiritual master, he is at once an offender at the lotus feet of the Lord. Such an offender can never go back to Godhead. It is imperative that a serious person accept a bona fide spiritual master in terms of the sastric injunctions. Sri Jiva Goswami advises that one not accept a spiritual master in terms of heredity or customary social and ecclesiastical conventions. One should simply try to find a genuinely qualified spiritual master for actual advancement in spiritual understanding. Hare Krishna.
Okay, so there's a lot to unpack in this verse. It's a very important verse. When Srila Prabhupada leaving body back in 1977, he wanted to carry on the chain of disciplic succession, because that's how Vaishnav history or how Vaishnava knowledge is spread through the chain of disciplic succession. Krishna says, Evam parampara praptan imam imam. Anyone know that verse? Evam parampara praptan imam verse.
Imam Rajashayo Vidu. Sakala
Yes.
Neha Mahata Yoga Nashtavrant.
Okay, so that Krishna says, thus this knowledge was received through the chain of disciplic succession, and the saintly kings understood it in that way. But in due course of time, the succession was broken, and the knowledge, as it appears, seems to be lost. So Krishna, he became a spiritual master because he spoke the Bhagavad Gita, and Bhagavad Gita is, the song of God, Krishna's instructions, perfect knowledge. And Prabhupada says that anybody who repeats the knowledge in the Bhagavad Gita or the Chaitanya Charitamrita or Srimad Bhagavatam, verbatim, without any change, then they can also become a spiritual master. So back in 1977, when Prabhupada was leaving his body, he named 11 gurus, and we talked about this in class in Miami the other day. A lot of them fell down, but the disciplic succession has to go on. And so therefore, somebody has to be a guru. Somebody has to have disciples. And Prabhupada, in the beginning, when he hadn't quite passed away, he named 11 people to be Ritvik gurus. And the Ritvik gurus would initiate people on behalf of Srila Prabhupada while Prabhupada was still on the planet. And then when Prabhupada was to leave the planet, this is according to Srila Prabhupada's instructions, then they would have their own disciples. So that's how ISKCON functions now. The gurus have their own disciples, and the GBC is the supreme authority in ISKCON. And if one of the gurus falls out of favor or falls down, then the GBC can terminate his guruship and can find another guru. And that we've seen in ISKCON many times. The guru's fallen down and the disciples have to accept another guru. Many times, but not always, unfortunately, many times the disciples have been instructed or have learned to read Srila Prabhupada's books. Even though they're, of course, initiated by Srila Prabhupada, not by Srila Prabhupada, by somebody else, but still they have that solid foundation for their Krishna consciousness. So they don't get bewildered if their guru falls down. Of course, you don't want your guru to fall down. If you're not such a strong devotee, it may finish your spiritual life, at least in this lifetime. So, of course, Srila Prabhupada was a special guru. There's no gurus right now like Srila Prabhupada. He was an empowered acharya. He's the founder acharya. Everything that he was published about Krishna consciousness, every temple that was open, every pamphlet that was distributed, he was adamant that it had to have his name on it. ISKCON founder Acharya, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, because he wanted to emphasize that his brand of Krishna consciousness, which we all believe is the proper brand of Krishna consciousness, he was very adamant to make sure that his name was permanent, because he had seen that his guru's mission, his guru's movement, actually fell apart, because the gurus, the leaders of the different temples, they went their own way and they didn't work together. So one of Prabhupada's very heavy and repeated instruction was that devotees have to cooperate and work within ISKCON. That you show your love for me by how you cooperate. So what is the purpose of ISKCON? The purpose of ISKCON is to spread Krishna consciousness and to help people develop Krishna. So anybody who desires to be a serious devotee has to keep that in mind, that this movement is meant for changing society. So when I became a devotee a long time ago, I moved into the temple. I was a little bit older than a lot of devotees who moved in when they were younger, but many of them left. They still had some desires. So I moved one day. I immediately started following the regulatory principles because I hadn't followed them before. And practically the next day I was out distributing books. And so this was the theme at that time. This was what Prabhupada wanted. We were sincerely striving so hard to serve Srila Prabhupada. And he emphasized over and over again, just go out and distribute books. So we worked so hard, to fulfill his desire. And, we'd be out in the freezing cold, living in a van, getting up early, taking a cold shower, whatever it was, to distribute his books, because we served his order. I never spoke to Prabhupada. But the point is that we accepted him as our guru, and we lived just to try to please him. And when he said double the number of books you do, then we tried to double it. And we worked very, very hard. And sometimes we had to. I remember one time when one of the gurus disappeared overnight with a woman. Sad story. Next thing was, we had to go out and sell paintings. Hong Kong paintings. So, we worked very hard selling paintings to collect money. We didn't keep any of the money. It was all for the purpose of keeping ISKCON together. I know that Bhaktivedanta Manor, that was the place that George Harrison donated. It's a very nice facility, wonderful place. If you ever get the opportunity to go there and visit, it's wonderful. We were in danger of losing the temple because of the financial situation. We all had to go out for 3 months and sell paintings without a day off. We didn't keep the money. So this is the mood of a disciple. So this is, what it means to be a disciple means that your guru, you're assisting him, and this is what Prabhupada really emphasized. You're assisting your guru in spreading Krishna consciousness. We're not really just getting a disciple, a guru, so that we can get a new name and, so that we can follow the four regular principles. It's okay, but at the same time, we need to try and think of ways to spread Krishna consciousness if we can. And if we can't do that, then we should try to, if we have any money, donate some money for buying books or whatever, maintaining the temple. But we have to, initiation means you become a servant of the guru. And it's a very serious thing. It's and therefore you need to be very careful if you're not initiated who you choose as your guru, because you have to find somebody who you really have a lot of faith in, and someone that you see is constantly engaged in devotional service. And there's different levels of gurus, and I'm not the highest. I can tell you in all honesty, there are a lot of gurus who are a lot more advanced than I am. And I will gladly, tell you about them. The first one has to have a guru, and the way Prabhupada set it up was that you have someone local, because Prabhupada named the 11 gurus, and they were all in different parts of the world. It wasn't necessarily at that time that Prabhupada wanted everyone to travel all over the place to get a guru. That wasn't his idea. Nowadays, that's become kind of a thing. But originally, you got initiated by a guru, and you've served in that area, and he was your guru. Now, in the purport to that verse, Prabhupada says you can accept any number of instructing gurus. So you have to have an initiating guru who accepts you. So what it means is that the guru has to examine you, that you're actually following properly, and you're sincere, and that when you make a vow of initiation, you're actually going to stick to the vow. So therefore, it's often recommended that one not get initiated at least for a year, that one examine the guru, because you need to be comfortable with your guru. You don't want to accept somebody who, you don't know that well, who may be doing things on the side that are not really Krishna conscious or whatever. So you need to examine the guru. And the guru has to be a disciple. Is this disciple really sincere? Are they really gonna, stick to their vows? Are they gonna serve the mission of ISKCON? Because otherwise, because when we joined ISKCON, that's everything we thought about was Krishna consciousness. Everything we did was simply how to spread Krishna consciousness. Every breath made.
Guru Maharaj, your connection is breaking up.
We
We haven't heard maybe the last 30 seconds or so.
were anxious. Huh?
Well, I think you may have been disconnected. You're muted, Guru Maharaj.
All right. So where did I leave off? Okay, so so ISKCON was how we serve Srila Prabhupada, and so that is what a bona fide guru tries to emphasize: service to the mission, support the temple, go out and book distribution. Of course, we do if you have the ability to go out and book distribution, for instance. That's what Prabhupada recommended. I mean, from my experience, I went to Florida Atlantic University a couple of weeks ago, and I met that boy Kartik. He immediately came to the temple, to the program we had, and so he's on board with Krishna consciousness. So going out, meeting people, that's the best thing. So I guess we were lucky because we could move into a temple, and we could just focus on spreading Krishna consciousness. Many of you, your lives are different. You have careers, you have jobs, maybe you're retired, you're entangled in the material world. more than we were. We were hippies. We traveled to India, without any money, hitchhiking, looking for the truth. Your situation is different, but still, we have to see that our life is all about being Krishna conscious. We have to make that our priority. Even though we're going to college, whatever we're doing, our most important thing is how to chant proper rounds, how to read the books, how to become a better devotee. That's the goal. And I'm not saying it's not possible without living in an ashram, but it's certainly a lot harder. We had to get up every day at Mangalartik. Every day we went to Mangalartik. Sometimes I miss occasionally, but we would go every day. And every day we would read the English translation. I don't know how many of you know the English translation for the Mangalartik song. But, we were really kind of tested as to how serious we were. Cold shower with a bunch of other people, get up early, go to Mangalartik, eat breakfast, go out and books. Come back, have a bit of milk and fruit and a Krishna book reading. I feel myself was so lucky that, I wasn't entangled in some career, I hate to say it. But it's not the end of the world. But, we have to somehow or other be involved in ISKCON. It's very important. So, at Mangalartik, how many of you know the translations of the Mangalartik prayers? None of you. Have you any of you heard them? You've heard them. Well, you should learn them because Prabhupada emphasized going to Mangalartik more than practically anything else. So, some of you, I guess Sid's never been to Mangalartik, I don't think. But these prayers, they're called the Samsara prayers. It's Shri Shri Guru Vastika. Shri Shri Guru Vastika. Gurvastaka. Astika means 8. 8 verses to the Guru. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, who appeared in the latter half of the 17th century, is a great spiritual master in the Krishna conscious chain of gurus and disciples. He says, one who, with great care and attention, loudly recites this beautiful prayer to the spiritual master during the Brahma Muhurta obtains direct service to Krishna, the Lord of Vrindavan, at the time of his death. The Brahma Muhurta is the auspicious time, an hour and a half before sunrise, when devotional practice are especially potent. So I will read the Sanskrit and then the translation. Samsaradava nalalita loka Trinaya karunya ganaganatvam Taptasya gunanavasya Vande Guroshi charanarvindam. Translation. The spiritual master is receiving benediction from the ocean of mercy. Just as the cloud pours water on the forest fire to extinguish it, so the spiritual master delivers the material afflicted world by extinguishing the blazing fire of material existence. I offer my respectful obeisance under the lotus feet of such a spiritual master, who is an ocean of auspicious qualities. Of course, as I said, there are different degrees of, or different levels of spiritual master. Some are more advanced than others. But somebody has to become a spiritual master. Someone has to have disciples. Somebody has to, take the responsibility of instructing people, of giving people shelter, giving people initiation, even if they're not on the highest level. But, we can also accept as our instructing spiritual masters people on a higher level. But we still have to refer to our own initiating spiritual master before we take instructions from any other guru. because that is the etiquette, that you don't jump over your guru. You've taken initiation, and hopefully you feel happy about the decision you made, but you can hear from other gurus who may well be much more advanced, and that's fine. And if I have any disciples, whatever disciples I have, I would like them to hear from other gurus, especially Shivaram Swami, Niranjan Swami, Devamrita Swami. So the spiritual master, Vishwanath Chakrabarti Thakur, who actually composed his prayer, he was on the highest level. And Srila Prabhupada was on the highest level. But still, we have to have our own spiritual master. You cannot get initiated without a spiritual master. You cannot be a Ritvik. We do not believe in the Ritvik system. Prabhupada says clearly, if one is reluctant to get initiated, one cannot go back to Godhead. So one has to accept initiation. That means chanting 16 rounds. Some people just can't chant 16 rounds. So that is, as Prabhupada said, chanting 16 rounds a day is the most important instruction of the Guru. Chanting 16 rounds a day, because that is what actually purifies your heart. And from showing your sincerity by chanting, because it's not so easy to chant 16 rounds every day. And the next verse, Mahaprabhu Kirtana Nritya Gita Bhadatramadya Manasorasenam Romachakampa Sri Tarangabajo Gavande Guru Sri Charana Vinda. Chanting the holy name, dancing in ecstasy, singing and playing musical instruments. The spiritual master is always gladdened by the Sankirtan movement of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Because he is relishing the mellows of pure devotion within his mind, sometimes his bodily hairs stand on end. He feels quivering in his body, and tears flow from his eyes like waves. I offer my respectful obeisances unto the lotus feet of such a spiritual master. So, as I said, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur is composing this prayer in praise of his Guru, who manifested all these symptoms. So at least I can say, I chant the holy name, I dance in ecstasy occasionally to do kirtan, I sing, I play musical instruments. I'm always happy by the Sankirtan movement. I'm always happy to see people hearing the Hare Krishna mantra. I'm always happy to, see people distributing Prabhupada's books. So I have some of the qualifications here. Shri Vigraharadhanam Chanana Shringatana Matanada Yuktasya Bhaktam Shaniyam Vitoti Randegoro Shri Charanarindam. The spiritual master is always engaged in the temple worship of Sri Sri Radha and Krishna. He also engages his disciples in such worship. They dress the deities in beautiful clothes and ornaments, clean their temple, and perform other similar worship of the Lord. I offer my respectful obeisances under the lotus feet of such a spiritual master. So I can't say personally that I'm always engaged in temple worship with Sri Sri Radha and Krishna. Now, Srila Prabhupada, he installed many sets of Radha Krishna deities. In Vrindavan, of course, he installed Radha Krishna, Krishna Balaram, and Gaur Nitai. The reason why he did install 3 sets of deities there is because he wanted to show that Gaur Nitai are non-different from Krishna Balaram. And because, Lord Nityananda is a very important personality in our life. Lord Nityananda, you should read about him, especially on Nityananda Trayodasi, and celebrate and fast on his appearance day, which is on the 21st. So personally, I was never engaged by my temple authorities in deity worship. My service, because I was good at it, was going out distributing books. The ones that weren't good at it, they were often told to do deity worship because, by distributing books, we were collecting money. The temples needed money, and that was, maybe it was a mundane reason, but the temple presidents, they sent those out that could collect money by distributing books out in book distribution. And unfortunately, some of the ones who couldn't do that, they ended up teaching in the Gurukuls, and some of them abused the children. It was sad. But anyway, so I do, we have deities in our home. I dress the deities once a week with my wife. My wife is she's had a lot more experience with deity worship than I have because she was engaged from a young age in the temple deity worship. She's very expert at doing deity worship. She's very expert at painting the deities. If you ever see the Alachua deities, she paints their faces on Saturday and Sunday. If you look on the Alachua temple website, you'll see, when you see a picture of the deities, she's the one that painted Krishna. He's very good at it. So, my Shiksha Guru and friend, Ch.1 Swami, he's very expert in deity worship. We could attribute some of the things in this verse to him because he is very much engaged in deity worship. He's also very into writing books and doing kirtan, but he has his own set of deities. He has some small Radha Krishna deities that used to belong to Swarup Damodar Goswami. Swarup Damodar was the secretary of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, so he has those deities. He's not an ordinary person. And he dresses, he has beautiful little dresses made and travels around with them wherever he goes. He's extremely devoted. Then in Hungary, he has beautiful Radha Krishna deities at the farm, and the standard of deity worship is incredibly high. There's 30 full-time pujaris in a community of 100, and it's very beautiful. They redid the altar not recently. It must have been 7 or 8 years ago. I had some money at the time. I gave him $15,000. So we do have to donate. If we have money, it should not be kept. Ultimately, we should be generous. Generous is a sign of the mode of goodness. The temple of the Vedic planetarium also needs money. I gave $10,000 to that. I'm not bragging. I did have money at one time. It's practically all gone, but I'm just saying that, if we ever get money, we should try to use it in Krishna service, either distributing books or temple construction, something. So Ch.1 Swami, he's exemplary because he is very into deity worship, and he himself dresses the deities often, and very expert at dressing the deities. Now, he began deity worship when he was in Chicago, because he was the temple president in Chicago. And Chicago Temple was one of the big book distribution hubs. Oh, Chicago, you're from Chicago, that's right there. O'Hare Krishna Airport. O'Hare Airport in Chicago was one of the biggest book distribution places. And it was very hard there, very difficult. You practically have to wrestle people down to stop them. They don't stop easily. They're rushing, and you have to practically fight them to stop them. But they did a lot of books there. And he was the president of the temple. And so because he was the president. He couldn't go out in books, so he learned how to do the deity worship of Sri Krishna, I think Kishori,
Sorry.
the name of the deity is in Chicago. So he was involved there. Anyway, the next verse, Chaturvida Shri Bhagavat Prasada Swarana Triptan Hari Bhakta Sangyam Kridvaiva Triptin Bhajita Sadeva Vande Guru Shri Charanarvindam. The spiritual master is always offering Krishna 4 kinds of delicious food, analyzes that which is licked, chewed, drunk, and sucked. When the spiritual master sees that the devotees are satisfied by eating Bhagavat Prasadam, he is satisfied. I offer my respectful obeisances unto the lotus feet of such a spiritual master. So Srila Prabhupada, he liked to see Krishna offered nice food, nice prasadam. You know, he actually asked Jamuna, one of his first female disciples, to compile a cookbook. When she did so very painstakingly, she went through so much endeavor. She traveled all over India finding recipes for this cookbook because, you know, Prabhupada wanted to show how Krishna consciousness is the absolute truth, and it has all the best aspects of life, the best food. So Prabhupada, you know, he made Jamuna spend so much time traveling around to different people who knew different recipes, and she went through so much to make that book, and then it won an award actually. So Prabhupada was really into, you know, seeing the devotees being satisfied by eating nice prasadam. I remember, you know, we always used to have a nice feast every Sunday, a big feast. I mean, not like nowadays, you know, especially in Miami. But, you know, we used to have a huge feast, and, you know, we go to big festivals, and everyone will stuff them so much with prasadam, they will have to sleep for 10 hours afterwards. And then we'd have these gulab throwing contests, you know, we'd throw gulabs into people. They had to catch it with their mouth. They don't do that anymore. But they would, if you know what gulabs are, you know, if it hits you in the face, you get splashed with sugar water. But we have these competitions, or gulab jamun eating contest, where, you know, somebody would eat 20 gulabs or 30 gulabs and die of indigestion. So we had a lot of fun. We had a good life, actually. So Prabhupada wanted us to cook nice prasadam. That's what he did. Prabhupada himself, he cooked nice prasadam for his devotees. You know, when he first came to New York, he spent so much time cooking for the devotees, and they had his ISKCON bullets. You know what ISKCON bullets are? What are they? You don't know what they are? Huh?
Objamins.
Yeah, so in the early days when he first came to New York, he would make gulab jamans. We call them gulabs. Not the gulab archipelago, but gulab jamans. And they were in a big bottle. And if anybody felt a bit depressed, they could go and get some gulab. So he called them the ISKCON bullets. And so prasadam is very important. You know, it's a really important service to learn how to cook. I've made several devotees through my wife's cooking. They say they would never become a devotee unless Mother Ruchira hadn't cooked for them. She's expert cook, so we make devotees by the cooking. It's never too late to learn, Sid. See, Sid cooked something yesterday. Okay, the next verse. Shri Radhika Madhavayora Para Madhya-lila Gurupanam Pratikshana Dhanalolapasya Govinda Pande Guru Shri Charanarindam. The spiritual master is always eager to hear and chant about unlimited conjugal pastimes of Sri Sri Radhika and Madhava, and about their qualities, names, and forms. The spiritual master aspires to relish these at every moment. I offer my respectful obeisance under the lotus feet of such spiritual master. So this is actually a sign when somebody is getting somewhere in Krishna consciousness, when they want to hear about the pastimes of Radha and Krishna. So there's a famous song by Narottam Das Thakur, and it's called Lala Samai Pratana. Goranga bolite abe pulaka sadida hari hari bolite nayane babe nina. So in the purport, Prabhupada says, Araka by Nitai Chanda Karuna Hodboy. We're all asking about the mercy of Lord Nityananda. Nityananda is said to be the original spiritual master, so we have to approach Lord Gauranga, Lord Chaitanya, through the mercy of Lord Nityananda. What is the symptom of a person who's achieved the causeless mercy of Lord Nityananda? Narottam Das Thakur says that the symptom of one who has actually received the causeless mercy of Lord Nityananda is that he has no more material desire. Do you have material desires? You do. You have any desires, Sid? Anyway, when you have no material desires, not because you're too old to fulfill them, but because you generally don't want anything.
I have very few material desires.
What's that?
I have very few material desires.
That's good. No bucket list?
I wouldn't mind going out west or to Sadhusanga.
Okay. Well, that's not material.
That's my plan.
That's a spiritual desire. All right. So what is the symptom of a person who achieved the causeless mercy of Lord Nityananda? Narottam Das Thakur says that the symptom of one who has actually received the causeless mercy of Lord Nityananda is that he has no more material desire. Samsara vasana means desire for material enjoyment. And Narottam Das wonders when we become very insignificant. Of course, as long as we have bodies, we have to accept so many material things, but not in the spirit of enjoyment, but only to keep body and soul together. Then he says, when shall I be very much eager to study the books left by the 6 Goswamis? Okay, so that's, when you're very much eager to study the books of the Goswamis, that's when you know you're getting somewhere. So that is, that's a very good sign. So that's our goal to, of course, we have Srila Prabhupada's books. And Srila Prabhupada, of course, he includes some of these books by Rupa Goswami and Sanatana Goswami, Jiva Goswami in his books. But we have to develop a desire. Because first of all, we have to read all of Srila Prabhupada's books, and then we're chanting 16 rounds a day and attending the morning program if we live near a temple. This all accumulates to remove our material desires. Every little drop of Charanamrita water that we take, every little Maha Mantra, every kirtan we lead, every time we offer our obeisances, it all is accumulating together to free us from our material desire. It takes a while. Practicing seriously, it'll take you 30, 40 years. That's why patience is a very important part of our process. So we have to be patient, we have to be confident, and those are some. Enthusiastic. Enthusiastic is a very important part of our process, to be enthusiastic, to get up early, to go to Mangalartik, or if you don't live near a temple, to get up early and chant your rounds. Without enthusiasm, you won't be able to chant 16 rounds because it'll be too dry. So when you pick up your beads, you have to think, I'm so lucky. I get to chant the holy name. The holy name is none different from Krishna. Even though it tastes very bitter, it's actually the medicine. We're all suffering in material life. No marriage is perfect. Nothing, no career is perfect. It's all ultimately frustrating. So the cure is to chant the holy name. Next verse. Nikunjayu no ratikali siddha yayalabiyu tirapekshaniya tatrati daksha rati balabasya vandegaro shi charanarvindam. Spiritual master is very dear because he's expert in assisting the gopis, who at different times make different tasteful arrangements for the perfection of Radha and Krishna's conjugal loving affairs within the groves of Vrindavan. I offer my most humble obeisances under the lotus feet of such a spiritual master. So this one does not apply to me, but obviously, I'd like to one day aspire to be in that situation where I'm assisting the gopis, either as a cowherd boy or a cow or a tree, supplying flowers, whatever it is. Cowherd boy giving milk for making yogurt to please Krishna. So these are all, but this might apply to very advanced spiritual masters who have actually realized their eternal spiritual nature as gopis or as cowherd boys. And they are always engaged in making arrangements for Radha and Krishna's loving affairs. Saksha Daditve Nasamasta Shastra Uttasatava Vyatareva Sadvi Kinte Prabhoya Priyareva Tasya Vandegaro Shri Charanarvindam. The spiritual master is to be honored as much as the Supreme Lord because he is the most confidential servant of the Lord. This is acknowledged in all revealed scriptures and followed by all authorities. Therefore, I offer my respectful obeisance unto the lotus feet of such spiritual master, who is a bona fide representative of Sri Hari, Krishna. So, you honor the spiritual master as much as the Supreme Lord because that is the etiquette. Even Krishna himself, he washed the lotus feet of Narada Muni. He put the water on his head. But you respect Krishna by respecting the Guru, because the Guru is Srila Prabhupada's representative. So in India, like last night, I went to the satsang, the program in Boca, wherever it is, Coral Springs. Indian culture, they all come up, they touch your feet, they come up and pay their obeisances. They don't mind, they're humble, they're taught to be humble. It's not like in the West, nobody likes to bow down. In Indian culture, they like to bow down. It's a very good sign, bowing down. One shouldn't be unreserved about bowing down before the Guru, because the respect is not going to the Guru. The Guru is supposed to offer the respect to Krishna. But because we can't see Krishna, he's not appearing before our eyes, because we have the deities, we offer obeisances to the deities, but the spiritual master is trying to be the representative of Krishna. And in ISKCON, which is Srila Prabhupada's movement, which he adamantly requested everybody to work under the GBC. So the GBC has come up with this formula for deciding who can be a guru. And that is that, to become a guru, you have to have 10 god brothers to support the idea. Then your name has to go up before the GBC body, which is formed of all different representatives from different parts of the world who are generally experienced senior devotees, and they have to put the stamp of approval. If there's any bad news about somebody, they will get recommended to be a guru. So, even though we're not on the highest level, I'm not crying tears of ecstasy every minute or hardly ever. But still, Prabhupada set up, or the GB set up the system, and so we just do our best. But because I'm representing Srila Prabhupada, and people need a guru, I'm happy to help, because I want to. The reason why I became a guru in the first place, because that, going out and distributing books is great. And just telling people you shouldn't eat meat, you should be a vegetarian, etc., is fine. But you want to help people on a deeper level. So you want to really, give people shelter, because people need a guru. People need somebody living to guide them, to inspire them. And so that's the main reason, because I want to help people on a deeper level, you could say. So the last verse, Yasya prasada bhagava prasada yasya prasada nagati gatofi dayam stunam stasya yasya sanyam vande guru shri charanavindam. By the mercy of the spiritual master, one receives the benediction of Krishna. Without the grace of the spiritual master, one cannot make any advancement. Therefore, I should always remember and praise the spiritual master at least 3 times a day. I should offer my respectful obeisance unto the lotus feet of my spiritual master. Now, some people, we call them soft Ritviks. They're not actually Ritviks, but they don't believe that, or they think that a guru's main function is to bring people closer to Srila Prabhupada, which is part of it. But actually, we're trying to bring people closer to Krishna. So, the guru has to not only ensure that devotees read Prabhupada's books and chant their rounds, but he has to also bring them closer to Krishna by hearing about Krishna. Because, in the past, Rupa Goswami, he's the leader of all the Vaishnavas, all the devotees of Lord Chaitanya. Rupa Goswami is the leader. But we don't really hear so much about Rupa Goswami. What do we celebrate on his appearance day? We're Rupa Nugas, we're the followers of Rupa Goswami. Sri Chaitanya Manovistam Stapitam Yambutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam. So Rupa Goswami, he's the leader of all the Vaishnavas. But we don't really emphasize his life that much. We read his books, maybe, Nectar of Devotion. But it's all really about the living guru. You have to have a guru who's living, who can see, because he's got more experience, where the disciples at and what they need to do and how they can improve their spiritual life. So, I'm bona fide in the sense that, the GBC gave me clearance to initiate people. So in that sense, I'm bona fide. I don't know if Krishna finds me bona fide. Hopefully. Anyway, that's my class for today. Any questions? Comments?
Thank you, Garaj.
Well,
I have a few questions, but I would like to invite others if they have any to ask first.
you can ask.
Thank you for the class. Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
So in the purport for this verse, it was talking about how you should only have one initiating guru.
Right.
But I know that sometimes a disciple might have a guru, and that guru leaves his body, and then they might take shelter of another guru and maybe get initiation. So
No, you
how-
don't get it. You can't get
you can get
initiated unless your guru falls down. If your guru dies, you don't get reinitiated.
Okay.
Your guru it's an eternal connection until it's broken, if the guru falls down or if you leave Krishna consciousness. But you don't need to get reinitiated if your guru dies. Does that answer your question?
Yes. Thank you for clarifying that.
Okay. Well, otherwise we would have all got reinitiated. Because Prabhupada died 2 years after I got initiated. So, yeah. Anything else? Sridham?
Yes, Garaj. And sometimes I was just thinking, sometimes someone will take, if they take first initiation from one guru and then they do leave their body, maybe they'll take second
Right.
someone else. That's a possibility.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, that's different.
Yeah,
Like
absolutely.
a lot of people, a lot of Prabhupada disciples got initiated, first initiation by Srila Prabhupada, and he passed away, so they got second initiation by somebody else. And that's fine, but that's more like a formality because Srila Prabhupada's your main guru. Unfortunately, what happened was the Prabhupada disciples tended to lord it over the other devotees and tell them, oh, you're not a Prabhupada disciple, you didn't get both initiations for Prabhupada. So it caused a lot of, ill feeling. Because a lot of, sometimes, in the old days, devotees could be a little harsh. Anyway, but a lot of people who didn't get initiated by Prabhupada have far exceeded many of the Prabhupada disciples in their service. So many. Anything else?
Yes, several questions. I was wondering, you were talking about, how long it does take to really feel a taste from the process of bhakti. It can take 30, 40 years of practicing seriously in that.
Right.
In that endeavor, patience is really a major necessity. And so how do we develop patience if we feel impatient or we feel like we'd like to be more patient than we are currently?
I mean, how do you develop enthusiasm? By being enthusiastic. How do you get clean? By cleaning yourself. It's the same thing. You just have to be self-motivated. I mean, you just have to control your mind and just convince yourself that, we're in this for eternity. And, I've been a devotee for 5 years, whatever you've been. And, but this is just a tiny fraction of my eternal existence. And if I'm expecting, to achieve perfection after 5 years, I mean, I'm not just talking about you, or I could be talking about myself. After 50 years, when I've been in the material world for millions of lifetimes, to become perfect is not so simple. It requires, it may take many lifetimes. So we have to really sign on to the idea that, it's not cheap. If we got love of God just in a few short years, that means it's not very valuable because you don't have to pay much for it. Things that you pay a lot for are more valuable. Like diamonds, they cost a lot of money. So you want the most valuable thing, you have to work for it. And being patient is one of the recommendations.
Thank you. Yeah. What you said made me think that being impatient is really just sorry?
It's the mode of passion.
Mode of passion. Yeah, very much. I see that. And also just a lack of perspective and a grander scale as, in relation to time. Impatience is I want things now that may take some time to get here.
Yeah.
And as eternal beings, what is 5, 10, 50 years really?
Yeah. Maybe 500 years.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, I got to go now.
Thank you very much, Kamaraj.
I need more people to come now. I don't know what happened to me. Anyway. Okay, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you
Prabhu.
for the class.
Yeah, okay, my pleasure. Haribol, Hare Krishna.
Nice to see everyone.
Haribol.
Bye.
Haribol.
Hare Krishna.